There were a number of instances where we had to deploy 200, 300, 500 laptops in a very short span of time. Without ImmyBot, we would have had to hire realistically temp labor to go and accomplish those projects because we wouldn't need the resource full-time, but to hit the deadlines, we'd need somebody part-time. ImmyBot removed that. We were able to just automate, hey, let's configure these 500 devices, and we hijacked our conference room and just had computer after computer sitting there rebooting, configuring themselves one by one. It looked almost Terminator-esque. And then we had an assembly line to pack them up, get shipping labels on them, and hand them off to FedEx. I'm Tre Eiler. I'm from CoreServe, which is a firm that represents 25 MSPs across the nation. And my title is Automation Manager, but as with most MSP techs, I wear a lot of different hats within my company. Everything from guidance on how to manage endpoints, how to migrate from one RMM solution to another, migrating between, let's say, on-prem AD to Azure AD. The guidance varies, the role changes day to day, depending on who I'm talking to. I worked for a smaller individual MSP out of Southern California called KME Systems. KME Systems was acquired by CoreServe. When that happened, CoreServe saw the value of everything I was doing with ImmyBot and other automation tools and saw that and elevated me and others up into the CoreServe environment to spread that to the rest of our org and expand the vision to then continue to deliver measurable ROI on that initial investment. When we acquire a new firm, there's gonna be unique challenges with that, right? We may have one firm that's using ConnectWise Azio. Another one could be using Datto. Someone else is using Enable, etc. That can be challenging because they all speak a different language. They do the same core tasks underneath, right? They're all effectively an RMM solution. But the way you use Datto is very different than the way you use Azio, and you gotta kind of understand that. We use ImmyBot to begin to bridge that gap and move everybody to our CoreServe standard, which is the ConnectWise Azio platform. In doing that, we'll take, let's say, Enable, and connect their API to our ImmyBot environment. That then will allow us to begin ingesting all the customer devices and kind of get an idea of, all right, this is what we're dealing with. Then as we begin to shut down Enable and spin up Azio, we'll use ImmyBot to be the middleware. Hey, remove Enable, but before you do that, push Azio, get rid of Enable. Sure, you could do that from Enable and Azio independently, but the kind of beauty of using ImmyBot in the middle is we can schedule it. We can work with the customer and prompt them, hey, I'm about to do a little bit of maintenance. I got to restart. Do you have 10 minutes? And then the platform does what it does. And if we don't get a ping off of, let's say, 10 devices, all right, we're going to go and work on those 10. But if we're migrating 5,000 devices, we click a button and then let it sit for a day and a half and it's done. You really don't have to do anything. We just have to wait for the computers to turn on. We'll come into one of our new MSPs. We just came into our newest location in Utah. They didn't see the light. They were using fog and they weren't sure why we needed ImmyBot. The concept underneath is, we're going from on-prem Active Directory, right, to Azure Active Directory. Not complicated. You do it all the time. Profliz, there's tons of software out in the market that'll do it. We just used ImmyBot. It's got a directory migration deployment built right in. So set up the Azure link and you're moved. That was super easy for them because they didn't have to go get Profliz on everything, right? They didn't have to go and license it. It was already part of our ImmyBot cost. That process was enabled by, again, that API integration. We didn't have to install the ImmyBot agent. We connected, they use ConnectWise Automate. We connected their ConnectWise Automate to ImmyBot, and boom, they're done. We didn't have to go and install our RMM solution. We just kind of stood them up. They clicked a few buttons, and the customers migrated. A week or two later, they come back. We were completely wrong. This is the best tool we've used in years. It has saved us a massive amount of time in the past few weeks, and I'm about to do a migration for a customer. This is changing our product roadmap and how we're going to go to market with this project.